The camera opens with a wide shot of a bustling city, filled with the noise of honking cars, busy pedestrians, and the constant hum of urban life. People rush about their business, walking briskly along the sidewalk. Some engrossed in their phones, others chatting with friends or co-workers. In the middle of this rush, we find Jamal, a 10-year-old black boy, standing out not in his appearance, but in the quiet determination in his eyes. His clothes are worn and torn, a clear sign of the struggles he's faced in his short life. His sneakers are scuffed, his jacket faded, and his face bears the marks of a life lived with challenges. Jamal moves purposefully, his eyes scanning the world around him, always alert to the hustle of the city that never seems to stop. Jamal, though young, has seen more than his fair share of hardship. He's no stranger to rejection, to being overlooked, or being judged by his appearance. His heart, however, remains kind and full of compassion for others, despite the world around him sometimes being less than kind in return. He's the kind of boy who, when ignored by a passerby, still manages a smile. He's the one who helps others even when no one helps him. His determination to stay positive, despite life's difficulties, has shaped him into a young boy with a heart of gold, even though many people only see the outside, the ragged clothes and tired eyes that come with being a child from a disadvantaged background. As Jamal walks along the sidewalk, weaving through the crowd, his attention shifts toward an elderly woman who is slowly making her way down the street. She's holding a cane and wearing dark sunglasses, indicating that she is blind. Her steps are careful, measured, and slow as she navigates her path, relying on her cane to guide her. She's frail and delicate, struggling to make her way through the busy street, unaware of the potential dangers lurking in her path. The woman, though alone, carries herself with a quiet strength. Her posture is upright, but there's a weariness to her movements as she cautiously steps forward, trusting her cane to detect any obstacles in her way. She moves at a slower pace than the rest of the crowd, her limited vision leaving her vulnerable in a world that moves too quickly for someone like her. As Jamal watches her, he notices how the crowd around her seems to take no notice, brushing past her without offering any help or acknowledgement. He sees the distance people keep from her, the way they sidestep to avoid getting too close. The indifference of the people around them is stark, and in that moment, Jamal feels a deep urge to act. Without a second thought, Jamal adjusts his pace and begins walking toward the woman. His intention is clear. The city, though bustling with energy, has given this woman little to no chance of safety in this busy environment. As Jamal moves closer, he knows that this is his chance to do something important, to make a difference in the small but significant way that only he can. Jamal is no stranger to feeling invisible. People walk by him every day without noticing him, dismissing him based on his appearance. But the look in his eyes, full of purpose, kindness, and empathy, shows a side of him that no one expects. As he approaches the blind woman, he can feel the weight of the city's indifference. Yet in that moment, Jamal's presence stands in stark contrast to the coldness around him. He is a young boy from the margins, but his heart beats for others, and he is ready to prove to the world that even the smallest voices can make a difference. This moment will be the start of something that will not only change the course of Jamal's day, but will also challenge the assumptions of those around him, showing that true character comes from the heart, not appearances. Jamal's decision to help this woman is more than a simple act of kindness. It's a statement that in a world that often overlooks people like him, he refuses to stand by while others are left behind. As he approaches her, the world around them fades into the background, and the focus is on what comes next. Jamal takes the first step, his resolve firm. He walks towards the woman with one goal in mind: to help. And in that moment, he steps into a role that many may not expect him to fill: a hero in the most unlikely of forms. The camera slowly pulls back, showing a bustling city street filled with pedestrians rushing from one place to the next. The streets are a blur of people, each person caught in their own world, focused on their phones, their conversations, or simply the busy rhythm of their lives. Amidst the hurried pace of the crowd, there's an unmistakable sense of indifference that blankets the scene. As the camera zooms out, we see the elderly blind woman struggling to move forward, her frail body supported only by her cane. She steps slowly, her movements deliberate, but with every step, the world seems to pass her by without a second glance. Pedestrians walk past her, barely noticing the elderly woman in front of them. Some avoid eye contact, others simply step around her, lost in their own thoughts, their own concerns. The city's noise, honking cars, people shouting greetings to each other, and the rapid footfalls of countless individuals moving quickly from place to place fills the air. These sounds only seem to drown out her presence, adding to the growing disconnect between the frantic energy of the city and the slow, deliberate pace of the woman's steps. Her world, once vibrant, is now quiet and filled with uncertainty. Her cane taps the ground with a faint rhythm, marking her existence in a world that seems to have little space for her. In this busy, urban setting, where everyone seems to be in a rush, the elderly woman's struggle is invisible to most. Her blindness and frailty have made her a silent figure in the crowd, overlooked and often ignored. She's not part of the constant flow of the city, not caught up in the tide of productivity that defines so much of the world around her. To the people around her, she's just one more face in the crowd, just another person to pass by without consideration. There's no room for her in this city, no space made for her needs. And yet, she continues to move forward, slowly but surely, trying to navigate the world she can no longer fully see. But among the crowd, there's one person who sees her. Jamal, the young boy walking down the sidewalk, notices everything around him. Despite the harsh conditions of his life, his worn clothes, the torn sneakers, and the unwelcoming glares from passers-by, Jamal has always carried within him a different perspective. He's learned to notice the details that others overlook, the people who are dismissed, and the struggles that are ignored. His life has not been easy, but it has taught him empathy, and he carries that empathy with him as he walks through the world. Jamal's background is far from ideal. Living on the streets for much of his life, he's faced rejection, prejudice, and hardship at every turn. His skin color, his clothes, and his circumstances all make him a target for judgment. Yet, where others see a black boy living in poverty, Jamal sees others, people who, like him, are often invisible in a world that moves too quickly. He's learned to navigate the streets, surviving on scraps and keeping his head down when necessary. But he's also learned that kindness and compassion are worth more than wealth. In a world that judges people by their appearance, Jamal holds on to a belief that kindness is something that no one can take away. As Jamal walks through the city, he feels the weight of the world around him. He feels the coolness of the air, the noise of the traffic, and the indifference of the crowd. But in that moment, he also notices the woman. He notices the way she moves slowly, carefully, her cane tapping against the pavement with each step. He sees the vulnerability in her posture and the loneliness in the way she walks. And in that instant, he understands something that many of the people passing by might never know. This woman is in need, and she's not being seen. Where others pass by without a second thought, Jamal slows down. He sees what others miss, and he feels the weight of the moment. He knows that, just like him, this woman deserves to be seen, to be helped. In the midst of the chaos, Jamal becomes the one person who will make sure that she's not left behind. He doesn't hesitate. He moves closer, ready to offer assistance. His decision to stop and help is one that might seem small to others, but in this world of constant movement and disregard, it's a powerful statement. The contrast between the bustling city and Jamal's act of kindness could not be clearer. In a world where people rush to get ahead, where everyone is focused on themselves, Jamal chooses to care. He doesn't look past this woman like everyone else. He stops, offers his hand, and in doing so, he becomes a symbol of everything the city needs: patience, kindness, and the ability to see others for who they truly are. In a city filled with noise and distraction, Jamal's quiet act of compassion is a reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. Jamal's heart races as he watches the blind woman move closer to the curb, her cane tapping the ground slowly but steadily. Her steps are hesitant, and the uncertainty in her movements is palpable. The sound of traffic fills the air, cars speeding past, each one a reminder of how quickly things can go wrong. As she approaches the intersection, unaware of the cars that are rapidly nearing the curb, Jamal's senses sharpen. He's seen too many close calls, too many people left to fend for themselves, but he refuses to let this moment slip by without action. Without hesitation, he dashes forward, his feet pounding the pavement as he approaches her from behind. His fingers brush against the woman's arm just as the sound of tires screeching fills the air. The approaching car, moving too fast for comfort, races toward the intersection. In the split second between life and death, Jamal's hand firmly grasps the woman's arm. His voice, steady and reassuring, calls out softly, "Ma'am, follow me." His grip is firm but gentle as he guides her back onto the sidewalk, pulling her out of the path of the oncoming car just in time. The vehicle zooms by, a mere inch away from the spot where she had been standing only moments before. Jamal feels his pulse pounding in his ears, the adrenaline rushing through his body. He doesn't take a moment to catch his breath or bask in the rush of having saved someone's life. Instead, he keeps his hand on her arm, guiding her away from the edge of danger and toward safety. He keeps his voice soft, offering the woman comfort in the midst of the chaos. "You're safe now," he whispers, his tone calm and gentle. The woman, still shaken by the close call, grips his arm tightly, but there's a sense of relief that washes over her as she realizes the danger has passed. The world around them feels quieter now, the noise of the traffic receding into the background as the two stand in the safety of the sidewalk. Jamal looks around, his gaze sweeping over the chaotic scene, but his attention quickly returns to the woman beside him. His hand is still on her arm, offering reassurance and stability as she gathers her bearings. She takes a deep breath, her body shaking with the remnants of fear, but her eyes fill with gratitude as she looks up at him. "Thank you," the woman says, her voice trembling. "I didn't even hear the car coming. I didn't know I was in danger." Jamal smiles softly, his face calm and composed, despite the storm of emotions swirling inside him. "You're welcome," he replies quietly. "I'm just glad I could help." As Jamal steps back, he watches as the woman takes a moment to steady herself, leaning slightly on her cane. She glances at him, still processing the close call, and there's a moment of quiet understanding between them. In the hustle of the city, where people pass each other without a second glance, Jamal's act of heroism stands out as a reminder of the power of compassion. It's not about doing something grand. Sometimes, it's just about noticing the need in front of you and acting quickly to help. Jamal feels a sense of pride, not because of what he did, but because he made a difference in someone's life. He may be young, he may be overlooked by so many, but in this moment, he's a hero. The chaos of the world hasn't broken him. It hasn't taken away his ability to care. Instead, it has taught him how to be aware of the world around him, to see those who are often invisible to others. As the woman thanks him again, Jamal smiles and nods, watching her slowly continue on her way down the street. His mission complete, he takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on him. This was more than just a simple act of kindness. It was a reminder that sometimes heroism comes from the least expected places, from the quiet corners of a bustling city, where one small act of bravery can change the course of someone's day. As the scene closes, the camera lingers on Jamal as he continues walking down the sidewalk, his heart still racing from the adrenaline but filled with a quiet sense of accomplishment. He knows that, in this city full of noise and indifference, he's made a difference for one person. And that, in itself, is enough. Where are you watching from, and what time is it? Let us know in the comments. The woman stands there for a moment, still processing what just happened. Her hands are shaking slightly, though they are now steady against the cane that supports her fragile body. The adrenaline that had surged through her is beginning to fade, but it's replaced by a deep sense of relief. She realizes she's alive, standing on the safety of the sidewalk, thanks to the quick thinking of a boy who has no reason to help her, yet did so without hesitation. Her eyes, though unable to see, glisten with emotion as she looks in Jamal's direction. She reaches out instinctively as if trying to grasp the gravity of the situation. "You saved me," she says softly, her voice trembling with gratitude. "But how did you know where I was going?" Her words are laced with disbelief, her heart still pounding from the moment of terror. She had been so caught up in her own struggle to navigate the busy street, her focus on the world around her narrowed, and yet, in that crucial instant, Jamal had appeared like an angel, guiding her away from danger. Jamal, standing tall despite the racing thoughts in his mind, meets her gaze, his eyes warm but full of quiet strength. The sounds of the busy street hum in the background, but for a brief moment, it's just the two of them. The chaos of the world momentarily paused. With a calm smile that reaches his eyes, he answers her question, his words simple yet profound. "I saw you needed help." It's the simplest of responses, but it's enough. It reflects Jamal's pure, unselfish intent. No hidden motive, no desire for recognition, just the need to act when he saw someone in distress. His words carry a sincerity that is both humbling and powerful. He didn't need to know her life story, didn't need a reason beyond the moment to take action. The kindness of his heart led him to step forward without question, without concern for himself, just to help when help was needed most. The woman stands quietly for a moment, her hand still resting lightly on her cane. Her thoughts seem to be taking in the weight of what just happened. She tries to make sense of it. How a young boy, living in a world that often overlooks people like him, had the courage to act in a moment of danger. She's lived a long life, seen many things, but never has anyone so young offered her such protection. Her own hands, which trembled not too long ago, now feel steady, grounded in the reality of this young boy's pure heart. "Thank you," she finally says, her voice soft but filled with genuine emotion. It's a simple expression of gratitude, but it's everything. She knows that she's standing there today because of Jamal, and the impact of his actions will stay with her for the rest of her life. "Thank you for seeing me," she adds, her words carrying a weight of significance. It's not just about saving her life from a speeding car. It's about Jamal recognizing her, about his ability to see her as a human being, someone worthy of care, someone deserving of respect and kindness. Jamal, who had been expecting a simple thank you, feels a warmth spread through him at her words. He hadn't expected this, hadn't anticipated the emotional depth of the moment. His smile widens, though it remains humble. "I'm just glad I could help," he replies, his voice steady and kind. There's no pride in his words, just a simple truth. For him, it wasn't about saving her for recognition or reward, but simply because it was the right thing to do. The woman nods slowly, processing the depth of his gesture. Her heart, still racing from the near miss, is beginning to settle. But now she's confronted with a new reality, one where a young boy, who has faced adversity of his own, has made a difference in her life. "You are something special," she says quietly, her voice filled with admiration. "In a world that forgets to notice people like me, you showed me that there is still good in the world." Jamal, who has faced more than his share of hardship, looks at her, his heart full of quiet pride. But it's not for the recognition. It's for the simple act of kindness that has come to define who he is. In that moment, Jamal knows that despite everything the world has thrown at him, he has the power to make a difference, to be the change the world desperately needs. And in this small moment with this one woman, he's done just that. As Jamal stands before the woman, still absorbing the weight of his actions, she takes a deep breath. The gratitude in her eyes is clear, but now there's something more, a sense of admiration and recognition. She sees something in him that no one else has bothered to notice. She doesn't see a homeless boy or a black teen subject to prejudice. She sees potential. She sees a young person who possesses the rare qualities of selflessness, maturity, and strength. "Jamal," she begins, her voice calm but full of meaning, "I think you have a great future ahead of you." Her words are not just praise. They are an invitation to something bigger, something beyond the struggles he's always known. She takes a step closer, her hand reaching out as if to emphasize the gravity of what she's about to offer him. "Why don't you come work for me? I'm an entrepreneur, and I can offer you a part-time job, maybe even mentor you." Jamal is stunned. His mind races, processing the unexpected offer. He's never been given the chance to step outside of the boxes people have placed him in. Most people see him as a statistic, a part of the cycle of poverty that can't be broken. But here, in this moment, this woman sees something else, something worth investing in. She's not just offering him a job, she's offering him an opportunity to change his future, to rewrite the story that has already been written for him. He doesn't know what to say at first. It's all happening so fast. He's never been treated this way, and for a moment, the reality of the situation seems almost too surreal. But he can see the sincerity in her eyes, and it hits him. This is his chance. A chance to finally rise above the harsh circumstances that have shaped him, a chance to prove to the world and, more importantly, to himself, that he is capable of so much more than the world has given him credit for. I don't know what to say," Jamal stammers, his voice barely above a whisper. a mix of disbelief and gratitude swirling within him. "Thank you." It's a simple phrase, but it carries the weight of everything he's ever dreamed of. For the first time in a long time, he feels like the world has just given him a real opportunity to succeed. The woman smiles, a warmth in her eyes that matches the kindness in her voice. "You don't have to say anything, Jamal. Just know that I believe in you. I've seen the kind of person you are, and I know you'll do great things. You don't deserve to be overlooked. You deserve to be seen." Her words resonate deeply with him. For the first time in a long while, Jamal feels seen, not as a statistic, not as a homeless boy on the street, but as a person worthy of opportunity and respect. This is a turning point for him. This is the moment that changes everything. Over the next few weeks, Jamal begins to work for the woman who becomes not just a mentor, but a guiding light. The work is hard, but it's fulfilling. He learns new skills, takes on new challenges, and finds that he's capable of more than he ever thought. His self-confidence grows, and so does his sense of purpose. He no longer feels invisible to the world. He's part of something, building a future for himself. As time passes, Jamal's life begins to change in ways he never imagined. He receives a steady income, which allows him to take care of his basic needs and save for the future. He builds relationships with people who treat him with respect, and he learns that his worth isn't defined by his circumstances or by the prejudices of others. With the woman's mentorship, he starts to develop the skills that will carry him forward, skills that will allow him to pursue his dreams and create opportunities for himself that were once out of reach. The woman, for her part, remains dedicated to helping Jamal. She becomes a source of wisdom, guiding him through challenges and encouraging him to keep pushing forward. She's committed to seeing him succeed, and her belief in him never wavers. As Jamal continues to grow, he realizes that the kindness he showed that day, the selflessness that made him step forward to help the woman, has now been reciprocated in a way he never expected. That single act of compassion has sparked a chain of events that will define the rest of his life. What started as a simple moment of helping someone in need has turned into a lifeline for him, a path to a brighter, more promising future. The story of Jamal is a reminder that sometimes a small act of kindness can create ripples that change the course of someone's life. And that's exactly what happened. Through the woman's belief in him, Jamal's future is forever altered, and the hardships he once faced no longer seem insurmountable. He's no longer just surviving. He's living with purpose and the possibility of something greater than he ever imagined. Jamal's life, once filled with the weight of societal neglect, is forever transformed by a single act of kindness. The day he saved the blind woman from stepping into the path of danger became a defining moment not just for her but for him as well. The selflessness he demonstrated in that instant, despite the hardships he had faced, sparked something unexpected, an opportunity to rise above the circumstances that had long defined him. Through the woman, Jamal is offered a chance that most people from his background could only dream of. She sees him for who he truly is, a compassionate, responsible, and capable young man with the potential to achieve far more than anyone ever expected. She offers him a job, mentorship, and the chance to build a future. For Jamal, this act of compassion is the door that opens to a world of possibilities, a world where his worth is no longer tied to the prejudices others hold against him. The kindness Jamal showed that day to the blind woman didn't just save her life. It changed his own in ways that no one, not even Jamal himself, could have anticipated. The opportunity to prove himself is now in his hands, and as he begins to take on new responsibilities, he quickly realizes that the respect and care he shows others are reciprocated. With the woman's guidance, Jamal learns to navigate a path he never thought possible, a path toward self-sufficiency, growth, and a brighter future. But Jamal's transformation doesn't stop there. His act of kindness ripples through the community, sparking a change that spreads beyond his own life. People who once looked the other way begin to question their assumptions about him and others like him. His story, which started with a simple act of helping someone in need, becomes a lesson in empathy and human connection for everyone around him. The community starts to rethink the way they judge people based on appearances, recognizing that kindness, not background, defines who someone truly is. As more people hear about Jamal's actions, they begin to reflect on their own lives and attitudes. The story of a homeless boy helping a blind woman has a profound effect on everyone who hears it. It becomes a reminder that small acts of kindness can create huge waves of change. People in the community are inspired to be more thoughtful, more compassionate, and to see the humanity in everyone, regardless of their circumstances. Jamal's heroism teaches them that doing the right thing, without expecting anything in return, can have a lasting impact, not just on the individual, but on the entire community. The way Jamal's story unfolds challenges the stereotypes that society so often places on people like him. He proves that even in the most difficult of circumstances, one person's actions can change the world. In a world often filled with judgment and prejudice, Jamal's bravery and compassion stand as a testament to the power of doing what's right, even when the world around you might not be watching. As Jamal continues to grow, he takes on the lessons from the woman's mentorship and uses them to fuel his ambition. He builds a future that was once beyond his grasp and begins to see his life as more than just a series of struggles. He is now part of something larger than himself, contributing to the community and making a difference in the lives of others. Through his selflessness, Jamal has not only changed his own life, but has also inspired others to act with empathy, to help those who are overlooked, and to never underestimate the power of kindness. Do you believe that kindness can change lives? Jamal's story proves that it can. If this story touched you, hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs a little hope, and subscribe for more incredible stories of humanity. Let's continue to spread the message of compassion, understanding, and the power we all have to make a difference in the world.